When you get type 2 diabetes, nobody cares as much as you do. Here's a disclaimer. I'm Seamus. I am not a doctor. I'm not medically trained at all. Nope, just a dude that has type 2 diabetes and did really well with it and felt the need to make this podcast in order to help you out a little bit. But before you make whatever you hear on this podcast or any other podcast, do not make any changes without talking to your medical team. Okay? Let's get into it. When you find out you have type 2 diabetes, nobody cares as much as you do because they can't, right? This has to be, you have to care the most because it's affecting you the most. This is a lot different episode than I've done because this is more of a philosophical episode, like not a lot of data. Like I didn't Google search and find a bunch of information or through my research, the research did lead to this thought and why it's so important that you care. But it wasn't like, hey, statistics say that nobody cares when you have type 2 diabetes because they can't. No, I kind of made this one up myself, right? This is more heart, more brain stuff, and hopefully it will resonate with you, the type 2 diabetic or the pre-diabetic, hopefully pre-diabetic. I love pre-diabetics, right? Because they're type 2 diabetics that never have to happen. So if that's you, man, get on it, right? Send me a note. I appreciate it. I do a lot of self-help work on myself because I need it. I'm a manager. I got quite a few people that work with me, and I struggle quite a bit over the years with self-doubt and frustration. And so I do a lot of, my morning routine of self-help and stuff like that is kind of ridiculous. I journal. I read a book called The Secret, which has daily teachings. I follow this guy who does essential. Anyway, so I start off every single day with a lot of self-help in order to put me in the right direction. I let the day ruin it after that, but I start out the day right anyway. But through doing a lot of self-help on myself, I kind of found some things that I've used to help with my diabetic journey. If you don't know, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes July 31st, 2023, A1C 11.1. Blood sugar at the time, 474. Woo! I'm sure someone can beat that. I hope not. But 18 months later, I have no medication, and my A1C right now, the last one was 5.4. This one's going to be, I think I'm going to be 5.2, 5.1, something like that here. And I have another test here in, I think a month. And I'm going to video, not the whole day, but I'm going to do the day when I get that A1C test. I thought it might be kind of interesting video. Anyway, but I do that. And I found this quote that came up through doing all the self-help stuff that I do. And it is, what stands in the way is the way. Marcus Aurelius, I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, what stands in the way is the way. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I've been telling everyone about it. And some people are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And some people are like, whoa, that's amazing. And some people are like, hey, look, Seamus has another quote. Congratulations. Anyway, what stands in the way is the way. It works in a lot of different situations, right? Business, what is the obstacle? You have a group of employees that are trying to accomplish this, right? But the issue is that they have this problem. So the way is not to keep pushing them in a direction, right? Where the obstacle is still there. The job is actually to go identify the obstacle, and the path becomes getting through the obstacle, fixing what the problem is. What stands in the way is the way, right? That's what your path is, right? So when you become a type 2 diabetic and you realize that the problem that you're having, what is in your way from being healthy and not taking years off your life, is this insulin resistance and this type 2 diabetes, and the way that you're eating and the way that you're not working out and the choices that you make. So that becomes the way, right? And it's real obvious when you get diagnosed with something like this, right? It's like, okay, I have type 2 diabetes. Some people will be like, well, how do I manage that? What? No. How do you cure that? It's a curable disease, right? When you have cancer, you don't go, okay, how do I manage cancer? No, you want to cure the cancer. If diabetes is held in the same regard, right? Well, all we'll do is focus on how do we cure the diabetes. But what stands in the way is the way. So why did I title this Nobody Cares? It's not clickbait. It wasn't to be like, nobody getting, you're right, no one cares I have type 2 diabetes. No, no, no. It's because they can't. We'll start with doctors. And I love my medical team. They have doubted me, which has been awesome, right? There's nothing better than your doctor saying, I don't think that's going to work. And you'd be like, okay, I'll prove it. I'll tell you about a scenario here in just a second where that actually happened. But doctors do get paid because they care about your health. If they didn't care about your health, they wouldn't be doctors. They would get fired and run out, right? But they care about your health and everybody else. According to studies, and I hate studies when they're not in the right direction for me, but studies say that about 6% of type 2 diabetes achieve remission, reversal, don't need any meds. 6%. And with 1 in 10 people being a type 2 diabetic in America right now, those numbers are way higher than that. And way more people with prediabetes and way more people that are insulin resistant, right? It gets frustrating. So you think about it, you put yourself in a doctor's, and it's probably your general practitioner that's dealing with you. Most people don't deal with an endocrinologist. The only reason I have an endocrinologist is because I wanted a test called a fasting C-peptide test. A fasting C-peptide test. When the body releases insulin, it also releases a C-peptide, right? The insulin goes away very fast. The C-peptide stays around. And basically it's proof that your pancreas, our good friend pancreas, sorry, buddy, is still producing insulin. But the only way you can do this is by getting a referral and getting an endocrinologist. And I took the test, and lo and behold, my pancreas still works. I didn't break it. I didn't blow it out. Awesome. But I had to get an endocrinologist in order to do that. But when you think about your general practitioner and they have 100 patients, right? And or and they have so many of them that are coming in, especially as they get older, with type 2 diabetes. And they know in the back of their mind, they know the studies, they know because through their own experience that only 6% are going to achieve remission and reversal, even if they're very motivated when they first come in, right? The odds are that the people that are walking in their office are probably overweight. They don't work out. This has been coming for a while. Maybe they were pre-diabetic. They were like, hey, you're a 5.6. You better keep an eye on your A1C. Quit eating so many carbs. And then next time they come in, you're 6.2. You got pre-diabetes. And then all of a sudden they come in and they're 7.4. And you're like, well, you're a type 2 diabetic. Now we get on the medication and we try to control this thing and at least get you safe. But my point is that most people do not achieve great success reversing their diabetes and getting it into remission. Most people, no offense, do the bare minimum in order to survive, right? For a lot of people, getting from type 2 to pre-diabetic stage is good enough. That's good enough, right? Because I don't want to give up all those foods that I love, and I don't want to work out 20 minutes a day. Are you kidding me? Well, you can. And hopefully, I mean, man, if you are listening to this podcast and working out, or watching it on YouTube and working out at the same time, good for you. That's awesome, right? Let's do it together. Maybe I'll do one where I'm working out at the same time. I think the audio would suck on that, but maybe. Anyway, but most people are not going to do it, and your doctors know it, right? You can see it on their face. My first doctor's meeting, I got diagnosed on July 31st, 2023. I had a meeting the next day because I didn't even have a general practitioner at the time because I'm an idiot, right? I had not been at the doctor for 5 years. Could have caught this early. Anyway, my fault. I don't blame anyone but me because I can't. I wish I could. But my first meeting with my doctor, we sat down. You have an 11.1 A1C. This is what type 2 diabetes is. Here's all the things that are going to happen to you if you don't fix them, right? You are prone to heart disease. You are prone to certain types of cancer. You are prone to blowing out your kidneys. You ever had a kidney transplant? It sucks. You're doing all this damage if you don't control this thing. Awesome. You're going to take 4 metformin a day. This will not be pleasant. 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, in the evening, right? There's some side effects that might be not very pleasant. And you're putting medicine in your body that can cause other things too. But guess what? You're at 11.1. You're in the danger zone. We're just happy you didn't have go into a coma with your as high as your blood sugar was, you idiot. Okay. And you're going to take a Jardiance, and the Jardiance is going to make you pee a lot, and we're going to help flush this thing out. Now, that was all well and good, and I was starting to do my research, right? I already done quite a bit of research, and I do like doing research. But one of the things that she said to me was, that you might go through some depression. This is going to be hard. Type 2 diabetes is very difficult to reverse and get into remission, right? And it was just, and I get it because most people don't. And I stopped her and I said, listen, I said, you have no idea what has happened to me over the last 24 hours. I said, I am 100% committed to being the best diabetic that I've ever met. I haven't met very many diabetics. I didn't even know what that really meant. But I said, I am 100% committed to doing whatever it takes to reverse diabetes. And 1 year from now, I will not be on any medication. You'll cancel all my prescriptions happily. She's like, well, I mean, I said, nope, I said, there is no kind of okay for me. There is no, well, at least I'm not as bad as I was. That is not the case. There is a clear-cut goal. And in a year from now, you will cancel all my medications and we will be celebrating the fact that we worked our way to not having type 2 diabetes. And I'll never have to come back in here for metformin or Jardiance again. That's the goal. And it happened a year later. But the fact of the matter is that doctor is looking at me, middle-aged guy, didn't exercise, ate like an idiot, and those habits are not going to change anytime soon, right? Now she gets it now, right? She's like, you're psycho. You're crazy. One of the greatest moments that I had with my doctor it was after 3 months, right? I had to get a cancer surgery. So I had to get my A1C down so I could even have the surgery. But after 3 months, I went from 11.1. I come in there, she did my A1C, and I was at a 6.1 or 6.4, sorry. And she almost cried. And I felt so bad for her because, I mean, I was ecstatic. I did cry, right? I got that A1C 6.4. I mean, it's just emotions and all the work that I'd done for 3 months and questioning whether or not I was on the right path and all these kind of things that are going through your head, right? But she comes in and she's almost crying. Like, she comes in, she goes, Seamus, what did you do? What did you do? She went through those results with all of her colleagues going, look at this. Fasting blood sugar. I don't even remember what it was. I don't know, 120, whatever it was, right? Doesn't matter. But to go from 11.1 to a 6.4 and on the same medications you probably prescribed to a million different people, and it never really took effect because usually it takes a whole year for your A1C to even go down a point or whatever the odds are. I don't know. I looked at them and I forgot them immediately. So, but that moment for her was awesome. And for me, it was amazing. But for her, it was awesome because I hope that by working with me, someone who is completely dedicated and willing to make changes and make the right choices, that it will bring back some of the inspiration for her so that the next time someone sits in front of her with type 2 diabetes, she doesn't immediately go, yeah, you're going to go through some depression. This is really hard and it's okay. It's going to take a while and just make small changes. And no, I want her to go, hey, I have this patient. I can't tell you all their details, but they literally kicked diabetes butt in 3 months, got even better in 6 months, and got off their medication in 12 months. If they're even just one person, right? Can you imagine? That'd be awesome. But doctors don't do that because they usually sit in front of people who don't take it that seriously. They don't think you're going to change because most people don't. What most people do with type 2 diabetes is maybe they'll cut back for a while on cakes and sweets and stuff like that. And they'll take the medication and they think that the pill is the answer when it's not, right? Not having to take the pill, that's the answer. Getting that, and they don't get paid more to fix you. But I thought of this scenario. Can you imagine? This would be amazing. This is probably a great idea that someone should invent. And I'm not the guy because I don't have time for that. And anyway, seems like a lot of paperwork. But can you imagine a diabetes clinic somewhere, right? And you show up there with your type 2 diabetes, and and the doctor gets paid a little bit to help you, right? Gets paid a little bit. But if they're able to reverse your diabetes, to work with you to get you into remission, they get a massive bonus, like $100,000, right? So they get $100,000. They get you into remission. They get 100. Who cares? We're just making up numbers. They get $1 million to work with you on a consistent basis to make sure you clearly understand all the choices that you need to make to get into remission and reverse the type 2 diabetes and to lead a healthy lifestyle. They get $1 million. And then 5 years from now, if you're still in remission, they get another $1 million. That would change everything, right? But most doctors can't even get you to wear a stupid CGM, constant glucose monitor. I have one. I love it. It's the best thing I ever did was get a constant glucose monitor. Best thing I ever did was marry my wife. Second best thing I ever did was get a constant glucose monitor because I know exactly where I'm at. And I had to ask for it. I started doing some research and I go, hey, um, these CGMs, right? Oh, would you wear a CGM? Yeah. So I don't have to prick my fingers 27 times a day because I'm obsessed over my blood sugar. I can just look at my phone at one point 170 times a day. Now I got it down to about 72. So I'm not as crazy about it. But yeah, it was like 172 times a day. I was checking my blood sugar. I was like, what works? I ate some raisins. Holy cow, I can't eat raisins. But they can't even get you to wear a CGM, right? Even though it cost me, I think it's $25 a month for me with my insurance. It might be different for you, but having the constant glucose monitor, stick it in your arm. Mine's going to expire in like 3 hours, right? As soon as I get it off, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to clean up the other arm. I'm going to put another one on because I don't roll without a CGM. But I told my doctor day one that I was going to be off the meds in 1 year. I had a significant goal, but they did not care as much as I did because they can't. I cared completely about it. Had lots of other things going on in my life. My company was being sold. There's a lot of different things going on, but I was dedicated to getting off those meds in a year. And now I'm dedicated to staying off the meds, right? But they don't care as much as you do because they can't. Your family, they care. They probably care more than your doctors. I would hope they do, unless they don't like you. But your family cannot care as much as you do. Now, family can be a strong motivator, though, right? So guilt is a good motivator sometimes, right? As long as it's internal guilt and not brought on by someone else. It's like, don't you care about your kids? But I mean, think about a scenario. Say you're type 2 diabetic and you've been type 2 diabetic for 5-6 years and you're doing damage. You know you're above 7.1 A1C. You're living above. You're shortening your life, and then you look at your son or daughter and you go, they're going to have grandkids someday, and how much of the grandkid's life am I going to be able to be part of if I die early, right? And if that's a motivator for you, okay, great. That's awesome. I'm not ready because I'm way too young to be a grandpa. But that is a big motivator. And I did, when I had type 2 diabetes, and my wife was really, really intense about it at first because she was like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. I said, well, hold on. I said, listen, I'm doing a ton of research. Look me in the eye. I'm 100% dedicated. You'll never have to get mad at me for eating anything ever again, ever. I won't slip. I got this. But sometimes the family, and it's tough for the family, right? Because you think about your wife, and wives are in general worried about what men eat because we're idiots, right? And sometimes wives are idiots too. No offense, but we worry about it and we don't want them to do bad things. But you're also like, I don't want to be badgering them constantly, right? But your family does care, and maybe your family has a history of type 2 diabetes. That can be that increases your odds quite a bit. My family didn't have a ton. I did have an Uncle Rod who's not with us because he didn't take care of his type 2 diabetes. But sometimes families have a lot of type 2 diabetes and it becomes normal. It's like, oh, hey, did you hear Jeff got type 2 diabetes too? Oh, no kidding? Jeez, man, that's like almost the whole family. Yeah, that's a real bummer. It is a real bummer. But families can be a strong motivation. I guarantee you they don't care as much as you do because no one can or will care as much as you do about your type 2 diabetes. Friends definitely don't care as much as you do. But you might have a sympathetic friend that'll listen to you, right? That's cool, right? But they aren't 100% invested in you. They'll listen, but they're not as invested in your health as you are. And if you do find a friend that has some experience with type 2 diabetes, or is a really good listener and is patient and will let you drone on and on about this new thing you're trying with, like your intermittent fasting or the new medication, and they're a great sounding board, lean in, take them to coffee. Don't put anything in your coffee, just have coffee, but take them out and say thanks and appreciate that you have a sounding board, someone to talk to if you don't have a support group around you, right? But they're not going to care as much. In order to be successful at getting to remission, and even harder staying in remission, you have to care the most. I really care about my health, right? For many different reasons, right? And they are family and they are friends and they are, you know, but really it's about me. I want to be healthy. I want to now help people to get healthy, but I want to be healthy. I want to be someone who cares about themselves enough to take care of themselves. Not selfish, but a little, and that's okay. You have to care about your food. You have to care about your exercise plan. You have to care about your stress level. Not good at that. I'm not. I can tell you that doing this podcast has helped quite a bit with that, though. It's actually brought my stress level down. You think it would be um, harder, like, how are you going to do this? But no, doing this podcast has been very therapeutic. I get to get all these ideas and crazy things in my mind. I get to throw out there to the world and let them float out there. And hopefully you're getting something from it. By the way, when it starts working, that's when the stress level goes down. I love blood work day. It's my favorite. My next one's coming up February 13th. I'm excited. Can't wait, right? Because I'm doing the work right now and I know that I'm going to get that report card back and it's going to be awesome, right? Just because I know how hard I'm working. I'm not scared of the blood work, but every time you get success, every time the questions get answered, your stress level goes down. This happens with everything you change, right? Every time you change something, every time you care about yourself enough to change something, alcoholism, drug addiction, food addiction, every time you care enough to make those changes, you have to be the one to care the most in order for the changes to happen, right? I care about you. I care about people I found in my life that are diabetic, and there's lots of them. That's the thing. It's really similar to buying a white truck, right? If you ever bought a white truck or whatever color car you buy, then all of a sudden that's all you see is white trucks, just like yours, right? You're like, man, I didn't even notice all the dang white trucks around here. So when you get diabetes, out of the woodwork, you're going to find people that you work with, people that are family friends, people you're friends with, right? Oh, geez, yeah, I'm pre-diabetic. Actually, I just found out I'm type 2 diabetic. You guys are in the same boat, right? There's lots of diabetics out there. And unfortunately, we're making lots and lots more. But when I find people in my lives that have diabetes and they want to reach out to me and they want to talk to me about it, like, let's go to coffee. I want to talk about diabetes. I'm like, awesome. I can only care as much as they do. And if they don't care enough about themselves to make the changes, I tend to move on. I only give them as much time as they have care. And I can't wait for some of them to care enough, right? Because I don't care as much as they do because I can't. But I can't wait until they care as much as I care about mine. And then I'm right there with them. Let's do this thing, right? Nobody cares as much as you do because they can't. I hope your A1C is down and have an amazing day.